Lionel Brown. I don't believe it. He can't be.
Before anything else, drop your location and the time in the comments right now because part 3 is here and it has everything. Like this video, share it, subscribe if you haven't, and hold on because this one starts with a name that changes everything. The name on the last page of Grandmother Han's notebook was not what anyone in that room expected. Ara had been sitting across from the grandmother in that midnight office for 37 seconds, and she would remember those 37 seconds for the rest of her life, because the notebook was open on the desk and the candlelight was catching the page. And the name written there in Grandmother Han's careful handwriting was not a board director or a corporate villain or any name that belonged to the world of mergers and fraud and Hansung Group. The name on the page was Lionel Brown, a Black American.
I don't believe
Ara's
it.
father's name.
He
Her
can't
name.
be.
Or former name, because her mother changed her last name to hers when he left. Half her name, carried in her father's handwriting in an old photograph from her mother's wallet, and now here, in ink, in a notebook that had been planning her life since she was 7 years old. She looked at it. She looked at it a second time, because names that belong to people you love require more than one reading when you find them somewhere they have no business being. Then she looked up at Grandmother Han and said, in a voice that was completely level in the way that voices are sometimes completely level when the ground beneath them is not, "That is my father's name." "Yes," Grandmother Han said. "Lionel Brown. Yes. My father. Yes, Sarah. Who left when I was 9 years old. Yes. And has not been seen since." Grandmother Han set her tea down. She folded her hands. She looked at Ara with the expression she reserved for things she had been preparing to say for a very long time and had not been looking forward to saying. "Sit down, Eugene," she said. Eugene, who had been standing at the window, sat. He sat beside Ara, not across, not at a managed distance. Beside her. Present in the specific way she had learned, he was present when something required it. The clock in the hallway counted 7 seconds before Grandmother Han spoke. 23 years ago, she said, Lionel Brown was a financial consultant. Intelligent. Very good with numbers. He had an eye for structure, for seeing how money moved and where it went and why.
She paused.
He was also ambitious in a way that did not always account for consequences. This is relevant. What did he do? Ara said. He was contracted to work on an audit for one of Hansung's subsidiaries, Grandmother Han said. A small one. Not well known. The kind of subsidiary that exists specifically to be not well known. She looked at the notebook. He found something. In the numbers. He found the beginning of what later became the fraud at the center of this entire case. The same fraud the investigation has been unraveling for months. He found it 23 years ago, Eugene said. He found it before anyone else did, Grandmother Han said. Before I did. Before the investigators. Before everyone. What did he do with it? Ara said. The grandmother was quiet for a moment. He went to the man who had hired him, she said. A senior director. He trusted this person. He raised what he had found. He expected the right outcome. She stopped. The right outcome did not occur. Instead, he was presented with a choice. Ara said nothing. Money, Grandmother Han said. A significant amount. In exchange for burying what he found. For adjusting certain records. For making the trail disappear. She looked directly at Ara. And he took it. The clock counted 8 more seconds. He took it, Ara said. He took it, Grandmother Han confirmed. He buried the evidence, Ara said. Yes. He helped them cover it up. Yes. For money. Yes, Sarah. Ara looked at the desk. At the notebook. At the name written there in careful, certain ink. She had spent 23 years with the shape of this man in her head, the shape of someone who left, which was its own kind of knowing without knowing anything. And now the shape was acquiring detail, and the detail was not what she would have chosen. Your mother found out, Grandmother Han said. Not everything, but enough. Ji-young was always perceptive. She found irregularities in their finances. She asked questions. He could not answer them without telling her what he had done. A pause. They fought. Badly. In the way couples fight when what is broken is not one thing but many things at once. And then he left, Ara said. And then, Grandmother Han said, the original investigation began.
Small.
Internal. The kind that starts as a rumor and becomes a file. And your father understood what it meant. If they found him, if they traced the money, they would come for everyone around him. His wife. His daughter. She stopped. He made a choice. The second choice of his life, and this one was different. Different how, Ara said. He disappeared, Grandmother Han said. Not to protect himself. To remove himself as leverage. Because the people involved in this knew about Ji-young. They knew about you. As long as he was findable, they had a way to reach him through you. If he was gone, she opened the notebook to a different page. You were safer. On the page was a letter. Not long. 1 page. In handwriting that Ara did not recognize but somehow recognized.
He wrote that.
Ara said. He left it with a person he trusted, Grandmother Han said. Someone who had known him before all of this. That person sent it to me with a note that said, keep this for when it matters.
She paused.
I have kept it for 17 years. 17 years, Yu-Jin said. Yes, Grandmother Han said, and looked at him with the expression that said, I know, and no, I am not going to apologize, and also yes, everything has been for a reason. Ara reached toward the letter. Her hand was steady. She read it. It was not long. It did not ask for forgiveness. It was not that kind of letter. It explained the way someone explains who knows they don't deserve the explanation to help them, but is giving it anyway because the other person deserves to have it. It said he had been wrong. It said the money had felt like a solution and had been the beginning of everything worse. It said he knew what he had cost Ji-young. He knew what he had cost Ara. At the bottom, in smaller writing, he had added, tell the girl I'm sorry I wasn't braver. Tell her she got her mother's stubbornness, and that's the best thing I ever contributed to. Ara put the letter down. She put it down very carefully, the way you put down things that are fragile. Then she said nothing for 22 seconds, which Grandmother Han counted. He's alive? Ara finally said. I believe so, Grandmother Han said. I've been looking for 4 years. I have not found him, but I have found signs. She paused. He is watching from somewhere.
He knows about you.
He has been watching. Ara looked at the letter. He watched from a distance, she said. Yes. For 23 years. Yes. And never came back. He believed coming back was more dangerous than staying away, Grandmother Han said. I don't know if he was right. I don't know if he still believes it. She looked at Ara directly. What I know is that the fraud is now unraveling. The danger is dissolving. And if he has been watching, then he knows that too. The room held the quiet of a lot of things existing simultaneously. Yu-Jin, beside Ara, said nothing. He did not try to fix it or frame it or organize it into something manageable. He simply stayed where he was, which was beside her, which was what the moment required, and Ara was aware of this the way she was aware of all the small things he did, not loudly, but completely. I don't know how to feel about him, Ara said. I know, Grandmother Han said. I've been angry at him for 23 years. I know. And now there's a letter. Yes. And the anger is still there, she said. But it's a different shape now. Yes, Grandmother Han said. That is what happens when you get more information. The feeling doesn't go away. It just gets more complicated. Ara looked at the letter on the desk. At the notebook. At the grandmother who had been carrying this for 17 years and had waited for the right moment and the right person to be sitting beside Ara when she found out. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Ara said. Because sooner, Grandmother Han said simply, you would have been alone with it. She looked at Yu-Jin when she said it. Yu-Jin looked at the letter. He did not say anything. But his jaw was set in the way it set when he was making a decision quietly without announcement, and Ara knew what that particular jaw meant, and she filed it alongside everything else she had been collecting since a lobby and a government stamp and a pillow wall. I'm going to find him, Yu-Jin said. Ara looked at him. Not to confront, he said. Not to force anything, but to find where he is. To have the option. He looked at her. If you want it. She looked at the letter. Yes, she said. I want the option. He nodded once, which was his version of a full commitment, and reached for his phone, And Ara noticed that his hands were perfectly steady, and she thought about an 8-year-old organizing funeral programs because he needed something to do with his hands, and she thought about how far that was from here, and how much had moved to get to this room, and she said nothing because some things don't need to be said out loud to be understood. Grandmother Han picked up her tea.
Good, she said. She sipped. Now, she said.
Now what? Ara said. Now we sleep, Grandmother Han said. Tomorrow there is news. Tonight there is tea, and then sleep. She stood, with the deliberate authority of a woman who had decided the emotional portion of the evening was complete. Kim. From the doorway, instantly. Ma'am. Warm milk for Ara, she said. And tell Mrs. O we may need the good soup tomorrow. Already prepared, ma'am, Kim said. Mrs. O anticipated. Grandmother Han looked at Kim. She always anticipates, she said. Yes, ma'am, Kim said. She started the pot at 10. Good woman, Grandmother Han said, and tapped her cane twice, and walked out of the office with the energy of someone who had executed a very difficult scene well and was now proceeding to the next item. The door closed. Ara looked at the empty doorway. Then, at Yu-Jin. She planned even this, Ara said. Telling me tonight. When you'd be here. Yes, he said. She waited until we were. Ara stopped. Until there was a we, he said. The word landed quietly in the midnight office. Yes, Ara said. Yes, he said. Outside, the house was settling into its late-night sounds, and the clock in the hallway was marking time, and somewhere in the kitchen Mrs. O's soup was on a low heat, and Grandmother Han was walking down the corridor to her room with the unhurried gait of a woman who had done what she set out to do and was satisfied. The following morning arrived, and the mansion was running, as it always ran, with the particular efficiency of a household that had 43 invested parties monitoring the well-being of 2 specific people and acting accordingly. Mrs. O's soup was ready at 8. Kim had a second cup of tea ready beside the first. The gardener had done something with the East Wing garden that made it look deliberately beautiful, which it was. Ara ate her soup. She looked at the table. She said, he was trying to protect us. Yu-Jin, across from her. Yes. Or, he was protecting himself, and made it into something more than it was, she said. Yu-Jin. Also possible. Or both, she said. Yu-Jin. Both is probably the most accurate. I hate both, she said. Both is the hardest. Yes, he said. He's still out there, she said. Yes. And one day I might have to decide what to do about that, she said.
Yes.
But not today. She looked at her soup. Today she stopped. I know, he said. I haven't said anything, she said. I know what you were going to say, he said. She looked at him. Do you, she said. You were going to say, today I just need it to be today. No decisions. No plans.
Just the next thing, he said.
She was quiet. And the next thing, he said, is the soup. She looked at the soup. She ate the soup. It's good, she said. Mrs. O anticipated, he said. She always anticipates, Ara said, and something in her voice had shifted from the previous night. Not lighter exactly, but more organized, the way grief organizes itself when it gets some sleep and some soup and someone who stays beside it. Grandmother Han appeared in the kitchen doorway. She was wearing her second-best outfit, not her best, which meant she was conserving energy for something.
Ara looked at the outfit.
What are you about to announce? Ara said. Good morning, Grandmother Han said pleasantly. What is the outfit for? Ara said. I always dress for breakfast, Grandmother Han said. You wore a tracksuit Thursday, Ara said. Thursday was casual, she said. What is today? Ara said. Grandmother Han sat down at the table. She accepted the tea Kim produced from approximately nowhere. She looked at both of them with the expression Ara had learned to recognize as the expression that preceded a declaration. We're going on a trip, she said. Yu-Jin set down his coffee. Ara set down her spoon. When? Yu-Jin said. Saturday, Grandmother Han said. It is Wednesday, Yu-Jin said. 3 days' notice, she said. Very reasonable. Where? Yu-Jin said. Jeju Island, she said. The Havichi Resort. Ocean views. Excellent spa. For nights. 4 nights, Yu-Jin said. Yes. Starting Saturday. Yes. You decided this when, he said. Grandmother Han picked up her tea. 3 weeks ago, she said. Ara looked at Yu-Jin. Yu-Jin looked at Ara. They both looked at Grandmother Han. 3 weeks ago, Yu-Jin said, we were in the middle of a corporate fraud investigation. You were, she said. I had confidence in the outcome. You booked a resort before the outcome, he said. Good rooms go quickly, she said. I booked early. You booked a resort while the investigation was still active, he said, which means you have been planning this trip since before. The early bird rate was very attractive, she said. Grandmother. Non-refundable, she said. Of course it's. Kim already prepared the bags, she said. The kitchen went completely silent. Ara turned very slowly to look at the hallway. Kim was standing in the hallway. Kim, Ara said. Ma'am, Kim said. Are the bags already packed, she said. Yes, ma'am, Kim said.
Whose bags, she said.
Mr. Kang's, yours, Mrs. Han's, and Mrs. Kang's, ma'am, Kim said. Mrs. Kang confirmed her attendance last Friday. My mother is already confirmed, Yu-Jin said. She responded to the grandmother's message in under 2 minutes, sir, Kim said. She's been packed since Friday, Ara said. It was not a question. I believe she purchased new luggage for the trip, ma'am, Kim said. New luggage, Yu-Jin started. Mrs. O has also prepared the travel food, Kim said, and stepped aside to reveal that the kitchen counter, which Ara had not looked at carefully until this moment, had 7 containers arranged with labels, a thermos, and what appeared to be a small insulated bag that had never appeared in this kitchen before. Ara stared at the counter. That is more food than a 4-hour flight requires, she said. Mrs. O felt strongly about provisions, ma'am, Kim said. Kim, Yu-Jin said. Did you know about this trip 3 weeks ago? Kim stood very still in the specific way he stood when the answer to a question was yes, and he was deciding how to contextualize yes appropriately. The grandmother informed me, sir, he said. Informed, Yu-Jin said. Not consulted. Informed. She presented the confirmed arrangements and asked me to begin preparation, sir, Kim said. And Director Choi, Yu-Jin said. My leave. Who approved my leave from my own company? Grandmother Han looked at the middle distance. The grandmother sent a memo, sir, Kim said. From whose email? Yu-Jin said. Grandmother Han sipped her tea. From yours, sir, Kim said. From my own. Yu-Jin stopped. He breathed. The specific breath of a man who had been having this conversation in various forms for 32 years and had never once won it. When did she access my email? You left your laptop unlocked on Tuesday, sir, Kim said. For 11 minutes, Yu-Jin said. She is very efficient, sir, Kim said. 11 minutes. She has a good typing speed for her age, sir, Kim said, which was the most carefully worded sentence Kim had ever produced, and this was a man who chose words with the precision of someone who understood their weight. Yu-Jin turned to his grandmother. You sent a leave approval memo from my email, he said. You were distracted, she said. By what? He said. Grandmother Han looked at Ara. Yu-Jin followed her gaze. Ara became aware that 2 people were looking at her. Don't, Ara said. She was right there, Grandmother Han said, indicating Ara with her teacup. You were having the morning slot. You were leaning on the counter. You were talking about, she checked her notebook, the East Wing lamp placement. That is a legitimate household conversation. You were smiling, Grandmother Han said. I was not. Kim, Grandmother Han said. Was he smiling? Kim, with the composure of a man who had developed extensive experience in describing impossible situations professionally, I would describe his expression as engaged, ma'am. That is not smiling. It was adjacent, sir, Kim said. Adjacent is not. The memo was very well written, Grandmother Han said, placidly. Director Choi responded immediately. He said it was an excellent initiative. He also said, and I'm quoting, he couldn't think of anything he'd rather approve. Yu-Jin stared at her. He couldn't think of anything, he started. He has been very invested, Grandmother Han said, closing the notebook. The point is, we leave Saturday. The bags are packed. The food is prepared. The rooms are booked. Non-refundable. She stood. I am going to call Soo-Yun. She walked out. The kitchen was quiet. Ara looked at the 7 containers of travel food. At Kim, who stood at professional attention beside them. At Yu-Jin, who was looking at the ceiling with the expression of a man doing rapid calculations on a situation that had already escaped calculation. The bags are packed, Ara said. Yes, he said.
For 3 weeks, she said.
Yes, he said. While we were investigating fraud, she said. Yes, he said. And she sent a memo from your email, she said. While I was smiling at the lamp discussion, he said. Adjacent to smiling, Ara said. He looked at her. Don't, he said. I didn't say anything, she said. Your face said something, he said. My face is completely neutral, she said. Your face is, he stopped. Kim, Ara said. Ma'am, Kim said. Is my face neutral? She said. Kim looked at Ara's face. I would describe your expression as engaged, ma'am, he said. And Ara laughed, and Yu-Jin watched her laugh, and in the staff group chat, which Kim updated at regular intervals, the following message appeared. Saturday confirmed. 12 activities booked. Non-refundable.
Kim.
Director Choi's response arrived in 4 seconds. 44 heart emoji. Saturday arrived with the punctuality of all things the grandmother had organized 3 weeks in advance. 2 cars. 6 a.m. departure. The bags loaded by Kim with the precision of someone who had assigned organizational categories to luggage. Mrs. O at the door at 5:45 with a travel food container, which she carried like it was precious cargo, which to her it was. 8 containers, Ara said. I added 1 overnight, Mrs. O said. I thought about the flight, and I added 1. Mrs. O, the flight is 1 hour, Ara said. 1 hour is a long time to be without proper food, Mrs. O said, with the serenity of someone whose concern for nutrition was boundless and non-negotiable. Soo-yeon arrived at 5:55 with 1 bag, 1 book, and the expression of a woman who had known about this trip since Friday and found everyone else's reaction to it mildly entertaining. Good morning, she said to Ara.
Good morning, Ara said.
How long have you known about the itinerary? The grandmother sent it Wednesday, Soo-yeon said. And, Ara said. The couple's intuition workshop seemed ambitious, Soo-yeon said, and got into the first car. Ara turned around. There's a couple's intuition workshop, she said, to Yu-Jin, who was standing behind her with his bag, his backup tie confirmed by Kim to be in the blue section, and the resigned composure of a man who was getting in the car. Page 4 of the itinerary, he said. You read the itinerary, she said. I read everything, he said. Including the document in the lobby, she said. He looked at her. That was one time, he said. It was very consequential, she said. Are you getting in the car, he said. I'm going to need to know more about the intuition workshop, she said. Get in the car, he said. She got in the car. The Havichi Resort in Jeju announced itself after a 1-hour flight and 40 minutes of coastal road as the kind of place that had been built specifically for people who needed to be told they were relaxing. Stone and glass and the sound of the ocean constant and large behind everything. Gardens with paths between them. A spa that could be smelled before it could be seen. Staff who greeted with the warmth of people who had been thoroughly briefed. The Han family, the front desk receptionist said, with the energy of someone who had received a phone call from Grandmother Han in advance and prepared accordingly. Hello, Grandmother Han said, as though arriving at a location she had personally designed. Your rooms are ready, the receptionist said, and began listing them, and then said, We've also pre-registered your couple's activities as requested. We didn't request. Yu-Jin started. The 9 a.m. couples spa tomorrow, the 11 a.m. kayaking, the 2 p.m. cooking class, the 5 p.m. sunset photography. We didn't sign up for any of those, Ara said. The receptionist checked her screen. The booking is here under the Han family wellness package. Placed 3 weeks ago. There must be a mistake, Ara said. Grandmother Han, from behind them, with the composure of a woman hearing information for the first time. Strange. Computer error, perhaps. Ara turned around. Computer error, she said. Technology is very unreliable, Grandmother Han said. You booked these 3 weeks ago from your own account, Ara said. I would never, Grandmother Han said. Grandmother Han. The computer systems are very complicated, she said. These things happen. Kim, Ara said. Kim, who had been standing near the luggage cart with the professional distance of someone not involved in this particular conversation. Ma'am. How many times has a computer error booked a couple's activity for us? Ara said. Kim consulted his clipboard. On this trip specifically, ma'am, he said. Or generally? On this trip, she said. Kim looked at the clipboard. We've been here 14 minutes, ma'am, he said. So far, once. How many activities are on the itinerary? She said. 17, ma'am, he said. 17, Eugene said. Over 4 days, sir, Kim said. The grandmother felt. How many of them, Ara said carefully, are going to be described as computer errors? Kim looked at his clipboard. He looked at the grandmother. The grandmother was examining a potted plant near the entrance, with focused attention. I would estimate, Kim said. Most of them, ma'am. Technology, Grandmother Han said, to the potted plant, is very unreliable. The rooms were on the 3rd floor. The ocean view suite was for Eugene and Ara because of course it was, and it had a floor-to-ceiling view of the water and a fireplace and a room that was beautiful and an arrangement of furniture that included exactly one bed, which Ara noticed the moment the door opened and Eugene noticed the moment Ara noticed it, and they stood in the doorway for a moment sharing the specific silence of two people who had both clocked the same thing. One bed, Ara said. I see it, Eugene said. Computer error, she said.
Probably, he said.
Kim, she said, to the hallway, where Kim had appeared with bags. The suite has a king bed configuration, ma'am, Kim said. Premium bedding. Ocean view, orientation. The grandmother specified the view direction when she booked. She specified, Ara said. She had very particular requirements, ma'am, Kim said. One of which was one bed, Ara said. The suite is configured as a couple's, Kim stopped. Kim, Ara said. Yes, ma'am, Kim said. The grandmother booked a couple's suite, Ara said. I believe that is accurate, ma'am, Kim said. And told us it was a family wellness retreat, Ara said. Family can encompass couples, ma'am, Kim said. Ara looked at him for a long moment. Does she pay you extra for these explanations? She said. I receive a comprehensive benefits package, ma'am, Kim said, set the bags down and left. Ara looked at the one bed. Eugene looked at the one bed. Then he looked at Ara. The sofa is large, he said. You're not sleeping on the sofa, she said. I was offering it to you, he said. I know, she said. As a courtesy, he said. I know, she said. Not because I know, she said. He looked at the bed. She looked at the bed. Pillow wall, she said. There are 4 pillows, he said. 4 is not enough, she said. We know this from prior experience, he said. Structurally unsound, she said. We could request more, he said. From who, she said. They both looked at the door. On the other side of the door, somewhere in this resort with its ocean views and its couples spa and its 17 pre-booked computer error activities, a grandmother was settling into her room with her notebook and her tea and the deep satisfaction of someone whose plan was proceeding precisely as architected. We'll ask Kim, Eugene said. Kim will tell her, Ara said. Yes, he said. And she'll say 4 pillows is sufficient, she said. And cite structural adequacy, he said. Which is the same thing she said last time, she said, and stopped because she had said last time and there had not technically been a last time like this, and the word last implied a this time which was, Ara, he said. Yes, she said. We've shared worse, he said, which was a sentence that only made sense in the context of 2 people who had started their acquaintance by accidentally getting married in a lobby, and it made complete sense. We have, she said. The pillow wall will hold longer this time, he said. Optimism from the man who builds systems, she said. I have learned from the previous failure, he said. I will anchor the left side against the headboard. Structural improvement, she said. Significant improvement, he said. She looked at the ocean through the window. At the room. At him. Okay, she said. Okay, he said. The next morning began at 8:58 a.m. when Ara and Eugene walked into the resort spa and informed the desk they had not registered for the couple's spa package. The receptionist checked her screen. The booking is right here, she said. There must be an error, Eugene said. The receptionist looked sympathetic. A computer error, perhaps? That is exactly what it is, Grandmother Han said, from the waiting area, in a chair that was positioned at the precise angle to observe the full spa entrance, holding her notebook and a travel teacup. Ara spun around. Grandmother Han was already there. You're in the spa, Ara said. I have a treatment, Grandmother Han said. At 9 a.m. Wellness is important at my age, she said. Your treatment is scheduled at the exact same time as our. Coincidence, she said. Grandmother. Computer error, she said. Terrible technology. But since you're already here, she gestured serenely at the spa. You might as well enjoy it. Kim materialized from the direction of the towel station with 2 folded robes over his arm. Your robes, sir. Ma'am, he said. Yu-Jin stared at him. How long have you been standing there? I arrived at 8:40 to ensure a smooth experience, sir, Kim said. 8:40, Yu-Jin said. The spa opens at 9. Preparation, sir, Kim said. You prepared the spa experience for 20 minutes before we arrived, Yu-Jin said. The grandmother felt the towel selection was important, sir, Kim said. I assessed 3 options and selected the heavyweight Egyptian cotton. Very appropriate for the season. You assessed 3 towel options, Ara started. The spa also has a lavender eucalyptus oil, Kim said. The grandmother pre-selected it. Very calming. She pre-selected the oil. It is a very good oil, ma'am, Kim said, extending the robes with the composure of a man who had decided the robes were the priority and was not going to be derailed. The massage was, infuriatingly, exceptional. The lavender eucalyptus was, infuriatingly, very calming. When they emerged 40 minutes later, Grandmother Han was in the waiting area, reviewing her notebook with the expression of someone reviewing a successful project status report. How was it, she said. Fine, Ara said. Just fine, she said. Adequately restorative, Ara said. Grandmother Han smiled at her notebook and wrote something. The kayaking is at 11, she said. We didn't sign up for kayaking, Yu-Jin said. Strange, Grandmother Han said. Computer error. Very unfortunate. But since we're here, Ara said. Exactly, Grandmother Han said. Kim, Yu-Jin said. Kayak vests are ready, sir, Kim said, from 3 feet away, which was where Kim had been since they emerged from the spa. You have kayak vests, Yu-Jin said. The grandmother asked me to prepare them when she booked the kayaking, sir, Kim said. 3 weeks ago, Yu-Jin said. Yes, sir, Kim said. For a computer error booking, Yu-Jin said. I prepared for all contingencies, sir, Kim said. Yu-Jin looked at the vests. At Kim. At his grandmother. How many activities, he said, are prepared for? All 17, sir, Kim said. You prepared for 17 computer error activities, Yu-Jin said. I believe in thorough preparation, sir, Kim said. Kim. Your vest, sir, Kim said, and extended it, and his face maintained absolute professionalism, and somehow this was the funniest thing that had happened in a building full of funny things. The kayaking was beautiful and also not private because approximately 50 meters from their kayak, a small rental boat traveled the coast at a matching speed, and on the boat was Grandmother Han, with Kim with a thermos and a pair of binoculars that she was absolutely not pointing in their direction except when she was. She has binoculars, Ara said, paddling. She rented a boat. Yu-Jin said, also paddling. She rented a boat to follow us while we kayak, Ara said. She is having her own recreational experience, Yu-Jin said. She is following us at matching speed, Ara said. The current happens to run in our direction, he said. She is waving, Ara said. Grandmother Han was waving from the boat with the cheerful energy of someone who had happened to encounter family on the water and was delighted by the coincidence. Yu-Jin waved back. You're waving back, Ara said. She is my grandmother, he said. She hired a boat to observe us kayak, Ara said. She enjoys the sea, he said. She enjoys observing us. The coastline is very beautiful from the water, he said. In the direction of our kayak specifically. Paddle left, he said. We're drifting. Ara paddled left. On the boat, the grandmother lowered her binoculars, picked up her notebook, and wrote something. Kim confirmed the notation on his own clipboard. The boat adjusted course to maintain the 50-meter distance. The cooking class at 2 p.m. was held in a studio kitchen with an ocean view and an instructor, Chef Bae, who had the specific energy of someone who had been thoroughly briefed about the couple arriving for his 2 p.m. class and had quietly moved all flammable items to the far counter as a precaution. They found Grandmother Han already in the corner. in a folding chair that she had brought herself. Kim was at the ingredient station. She enrolled in the class, Ara said. I enjoy cooking, Grandmother Han said. You do not cook, Yu-Jin said. I observe cooking, she said. It is a related skill. Kim, Ara said. Are you enrolled in the cooking class? I felt it was a good opportunity for professional development, ma'am, Kim said, arranging ingredients with the precision of someone who had been arranging ingredients since before the class began. You prepared the ingredients, Ara said. I arrived early, ma'am, Kim said. How early, she said. The class begins at 2, he said. And you arrived at, she said. 1:15, he said. 45 minutes early to prepare ingredients for a cooking class, Ara started. The mise en place was important, ma'am, Kim said, which was a professional cooking term deployed with full confidence by a man who had apparently been learning cooking vocabulary in anticipation of exactly this moment. Chef Bay began the class. It had the same fundamental character as every time these two people cooked together, which was that Ara treated heat as a general suggestion and Yu-Jin treated the recipe as a system that could be improved through optimization, and these two philosophies were not compatible in the same kitchen and never had been, and produced results that were technically edible and also deeply specific in character. Grandmother Han wrote continuously from her corner. What are you writing? Ara said, at the 30-minute mark. Observations, Grandmother Han said. For 45 minutes about us making a stew, Ara said. There is a great deal to observe, Grandmother Han said. Such as what specifically? Ara said. Grandmother Han looked at her notebook. He moved the chopping board before you asked, she said. Twice. He adjusted your grip on the knife without making a thing of it. He is watching your wrist. She looked up. He always watches your wrist. I have noted it 17 times across various meals. Ara looked at Yu-Jin. Yu-Jin was, in fact, watching her wrist. You're watching my wrist, she said. You hold the knife at the wrong angle, he said. It will hurt your wrist over time. Over time, she said. You're thinking about long-term impact of my chopping technique. He looked at the pot. Medium heat, he said. For simmering. You changed the subject, she said. The pot needed attention, he said. You changed the subject because she made a point, Ara said. The pot. The pot is fine. It is bubbling too vigorously, he said. That's what pots do. Not at the correct simmer temperature, he said. How do you have opinions about simmer temperatures? I have opinions about everything, he said, and turned the heat down, and the corner of his mouth did the small thing it did, and Grandmother Han wrote in her notebook for another 40 seconds. The sunset photography was at 5 p.m. and involved a professional photographer that had not been mentioned in any booking confirmation and was simply there when they arrived at the cliff overlook, with a camera and a tripod and the cheerful energy of someone who had been hired for a specific shoot and was very prepared. He's a professional photographer, Ara said. The resort offers photography services, Grandmother Han said, from a position nearby that she had occupied before them. We didn't book photography services, Ara said. Computer error, Grandmother Han said. That is the 5th time today, Ara said. Technology, Grandmother Han started. Is very unreliable, Ara said. I know. Kim, how many times has the computer error occurred today? Kim consulted his clipboard. Including the photography booking, Kim said, 17 times, ma'am. 17, Ara said. Today specifically, Kim said. In one day, Ara said. The resort system appears to have a significant reliability issue, ma'am, Kim said. Kim, Ara said. Ma'am, Kim said. Do you believe the computer is responsible for any of these errors? She said. Kim stood very still for 3 seconds. I believe in comprehensive preparation, ma'am, he said, which was not an answer, and was also the most honest thing he had said all day, and Ara filed it accordingly. The photographs were beautiful. This was the most aggravating part of everything. The photographer was skilled, and the cliff was dramatic, and the late light was doing something that light does at that hour that made everything it touched look significant. When Grandmother Han forwarded them to the family group chat at 7 p.m. with the caption, "Unexpected photography session, computer error, very unfortunate," the responses were immediate. Ji-young sent a flower emoji. Director Choi sent 44 heart emoji. Soo-yeon sent, "Very nice lighting." Han Matriarch 1947 sent the photographs to a separate chat Ara did not know existed and received 41 responses in 6 minutes, but that was information for later. The storm announced itself on the third evening with the particular certainty of weather that has made a decision and intends to follow through. At 8 p.m., the clouds were visible over the ocean. By 8:30, the wind had opinions. By 9, the rain arrived with full commitment, and the resort's outdoor areas were closed, and the power flickered once, twice, and then went out entirely, leaving the kind of silence that only exists when electricity stops. Emergency lighting came on throughout the resort. Soft amber, just enough to see by. Ara and Yu-Jin were in the Ocean View suite when the lights went. In the sudden different dark, the ocean was enormous and loud through the windows. Yu-Jin found the emergency kit that Kim had placed in the room at check-in, in the second drawer of the bedside table, labeled in Kim's handwriting, Emergency Preparedness, candles, lighter, water, first aid, contact list, and lit 2 candles from the supplied lighter, because of course Kim had supplied a lighter. He put candles in the emergency kit, Ara said. He plans for power outages, Yu-Jin said. At a resort, she said. Anywhere, he said. He has emergency kits in all locations, she said. Since 2019, he said. There was an incident. What incident, she said. A power outage at a board meeting, he said. 3 directors couldn't see the presentation. The director with the most significant financial stake missed the crucial slide. Kim decided it would not happen again. He built an emergency infrastructure because of a missed slide, she said. Kim does not accept avoidable failures, he said. The candles lit the room in warm amber. The rain was serious against the windows. The ocean was doing what oceans do during storms, which is demonstrate scale. There were no phones. The storm had taken the signal, and no television and no outside noise except the weather being enormous and continuous. We can't check on the grandmother, Ara said. Kim is with her, he said. Kim will provide status updates, she said. When the signal returns, he said. Until then, she said. Until then, he said. The room was warm and the candles were steady, and the storm was doing everything outside, and inside was what was inside. Tell me about Ji-yeon, Ara said. Not planned. But the room had that quality, the candlelight and the rain and no phones and nowhere to be, that made unplanned things the right things. Yu-Jin looked at the candle for a moment. She was 11, he said. I was 8. She had my grandmother's stubbornness and my grandfather's sense of humor. She could argue anyone into changing their mind about anything. In 2nd grade, she argued a teacher into revising a grade by presenting a counter-methodology. He paused. She was correct about the methodology. The teacher changed the grade. She sounds like someone I would have liked, Ara said. Everyone liked her, he said. She was the kind of person who made a room better by being in it. He was quiet. There was an accident. She was coming home from school. A car. He stopped and started again in a different direction. I came home an hour later, and the house was different. Not visually, everything looked the same, but the quality of it was different. The weight of the air. You knew before they told you, she said. I knew, he said. And I thought, I should do something useful. I should find something to do with my hands. So I found the funeral program materials in my father's desk and I worked out how many pages it would need and I started folding. You were 8 years old, she said. 8, he said. And I thought, if there is a task, then the thing I am feeling has somewhere to go. A container. He looked at the rain on the glass. I have been building containers ever since. Systems. Schedules. Exit plans. Things to do with my hands when the feelings have nowhere else to go. The exits, she said. The exits, he said. I build them before I need them because Ji-yeon didn't have one, and my grandfather didn't, and my father didn't, and I thought if I build the exit early enough then when it happens I will have been prepared, and it will be, he stopped. Less, she said. Less, he said. It was never less. But it felt like something to do. The candle moved in a small current from the window. My father left when I was 9, Ara said. And for 23 years, the story I told myself was, we weren't enough to stay for. My mother and I. Not enough. And the thing about that story is that you carry it into everything. Every relationship. You wait for the part where you become not enough. You watch for the signs. She looked at her hands. I was watching for the signs with you. I know, he said. From the lobby, she said. I was running an assessment constantly. What will make him leave? When will I become a problem he needs to solve rather than a person, he said. A person, she said. Yes. And, he said. And then you moved the lamp, she said. He was quiet. 6 inches, she said. For better reading light. Without saying anything about it. Without expecting anything from it. She looked at him. Nobody moves a lamp 6 inches for someone they're about to leave. He looked at the candle. The lamp was day 6, he said. I found out about it on day 9, she said. Kim told me. Kim tells everyone everything, he said. He was being transparent, she said. He was interfering, he said. He was being transparent, she said firmly. Eugene looked at the rain. I noticed you from day 1, he said. Not strategically. Not because of the marriage situation. I noticed you the way I notice things that are important before I know they're important. The way the numbers look before you understand what they're saying. He paused. You talked back at me in a lobby within 30 seconds of meeting me. You looked at the chaos around you and assessed it instead of panicking. You negotiated a 7-minute slot into 12 before you had any leverage. He looked at her. I noticed. You didn't show it, she said. I was building the exit, he said. And then, she said. And then the exit kept not being where I put it, he said. I would build it and look for it later, and it would be gone. Replaced by, he stopped. By what? She said. By a toothbrush on the right side of the sink, he said. By a specific mug in the kitchen cabinet. By someone in the East Wing garden at 4 p.m. who, he stopped again. Eugene, she said. I don't have the words organized, he said. You don't need them organized, she said. He looked at her. The candle was steady between them. The storm was going on outside, enormous and continuous and entirely indifferent to the two people in the lit room. I stopped building the exit, he said. When, she said. Day 11, he said. The gala. The 3 seconds at the press platform. He paused. It was supposed to be strategic. A calculated redirect. I told you that. You did, she said. I was lying, he said. Not to you. To myself. He looked at the candle. 3 seconds was not strategy. She looked at him. No, she said. It wasn't. I want to, he started. I am trying to say that he stopped. I know, she said. I haven't said it yet, he said. I know what you're trying to say, she said. Then say it for me, he said, and there was something in his voice that was not the managed version, not the executive version, not any version she had encountered before, just the real thing, offered directly, without the exit pre-built. She looked at him in the candlelight. I'm not leaving, she said. Not because I'm contractually obligated or because it's 11 more days or because your grandmother planned it. Because I don't want to. He was very still. I stopped waiting for the part where I become not enough, she said. Somewhere between the lamp and the toothbrush and the East Wing garden. I stopped waiting. She paused. That's the closest thing I have to a declaration. Take it. He looked at her for a long moment in the amber candlelight with the storm against the windows and the ocean doing its enormous thing outside. I'll take it, he said. She looked at the candle. Now say yours, she said. I thought you already knew it, he said. I want to hear it, she said. He was quiet for 2 seconds. I would like, he said, to stop building exits and start building something else. With you. Specifically. He paused. That is the closest thing I have to a declaration. She looked at him. That's very on brand, she said. I am a consistent person, he said. You are, she said. It's one of the things. One of the things, he said. I have a list, she said. I have a list also, he said. Of me, she said. Of the things, he said. The things about you that are, he stopped. Are what, she said. Aggressively real, he said, which was him to the core, those 2 words in that order, and she looked at him with the lamp and the toothbrush and the heated seat and the East Wing bench and all 17 days of this house behind her, and she said, Okay. Okay, he said. Okay, she said. That's the answer to the thing you almost asked. I almost asked several things, he said. The most important one, she said. He was quiet. Then, Okay, he said. The rain kept going. The candle kept burning. Neither of them said anything else for a while, because some things, once said, need the next hour to simply be real before anyone is required to do anything about them. Grandmother Han was found missing on the 4th afternoon at 3:15 p.m. Kim discovered it during his regular check-in and radioed the resort security team within 90 seconds, which was fast even by Kim standards, and then appeared at Yu-Jin's room door with the specific expression of a man who is managing an emergency professionally while experiencing it personally. The grandmother is not in her room, Kim said. Yu-Jin was at the desk. He stood up. Where has she been checked? He said. Her room, the spa, the restaurant, the garden, the beach access, and the gift shop, Kim said. The gift shop, Ara said. She mentioned the gift shop Tuesday morning, Kim said. I included it in the search radius. How long has she been missing? Yu-Jin said. Last confirmed sighting was 2 p.m., Kim said. I checked her room at 3:15. An hour and 15 minutes, Yu-Jin said. She left a note on the door, Kim said. What did it say? Yu-Jin said. Resting. Do not disturb until 4, Kim said. Then why did you check at 3:15? Ara said. Kim was quiet for 1 second. I had a feeling, ma'am, he said. Yu-Jin was already in motion. He pulled on his jacket. I'll take the east grounds. Kim, beach access again, and the lower spa level. Ara. I'll check the restaurant and lobby, she said, already moving. At the door, Soo-yeon appeared with her book. The grandmother, she said. Missing, Yu-Jin said. She's fine, Soo-yeon said. Everyone stopped. How do you know? Yu-Jin said. She does this, Soo-yeon said. She does this, Yu-Jin said. When she wants to gauge investment, Soo-yeon said, with the patient tone of someone who has explained a recurring phenomenon multiple times. She disappears. She waits to see who comes looking and how fast. She opened her book. Check anywhere with good snacks. She will have positioned herself somewhere comfortable. She's done this before, Ara said. Since 1998, Soo-yeon said. The first time was at a corporate retreat. She disappeared for 3 hours. They found her in the hotel kitchen eating the dessert preparation. Your grandfather was gray by the time they found her. I blocked this memory, Yu-Jin said. You were 4, Soo-yeon said. Check the café. The one with the ocean view. She sat down with her book. Kim was already on his radio. The coastal café was a small, perfectly positioned room at the end of a garden path, accessible through a gate that was slightly off the main resort route, with a kind of uninterrupted ocean view that required stopping to look at it. And inside it, in the corner table nearest the window, Grandmother Han was seated with a plate of pastries and a fresh pot of tea and a magazine she had been reading with great focus except for the moments when she had not been reading it at all. She looked up when they came in. Oh, she said. You found me. The table was set. The pastries were arranged. The tea was a third of the way through the pot. She had been here for over an hour. You were here the entire time, Yu-Jin said. I wanted a quiet afternoon, Grandmother Han said. You left a note saying, do not disturb, he said. I was resting, she said. In a cafe, Ara said. I find cafes restful, she said. Kim was on the radio, Ara said. Kim is very thorough, she said warmly. That is why I trust him. We thought. Yu-Jin started. I know what you thought, she said. You do this deliberately, Ara said. Grandmother Han looked at the ocean. I wanted to see who came, she said simply. The cafe was quiet. I am not young, Grandmother Han said. I am aware of this. I am also aware that there is a difference between people who say they care and people who come running. She looked at Yu-Jin. You came in under 5 minutes. Yu-Jin said nothing. You, she said to Ara. You were already in the hallway before Kim finished his sentence. Ara opened her mouth. Closed it. Sit down, Grandmother Han said. Both of you. The almond croissant here is very good. They sat down. Kim appeared with 2 additional cups for the tea, because Kim had been in the cafe for the last 10 minutes, because Kim had checked here first and found her and radioed a coded all clear to Soo-yeon, and had been managing the situation from the cafe while the search party searched. Ara looked at Kim. You knew she was here, she said. I had strong suspicions, ma'am, Kim said. Before you radioed the alert, she said. I wanted to observe the response time, ma'am, he said. That is exactly what she wanted, Ara said. Kim is an extension of my intentions, Grandmother Han said pleasantly. I have my own professional judgment, ma'am, Kim said. Your professional judgment agreed with my intentions, she said. On this occasion, he said. On most occasions, she said.
Some, he said.
Many, she said. I will not confirm a percentage, ma'am, he said. Grandmother Han looked at the ocean. There is something I need to tell you, she said. Both of you. I have been waiting for the right moment, and this is it. She reached into the bag she had brought to the café and produced a folder. Not her notebook. A folder with documents inside it. Old paper. The kind with age at the edges. I knew Ara's mother long before any of this, she said. Ji-young and I were close the way young women are close when they are the only ones in a room who understand each other. She was extraordinary. The way you are extraordinary, Ara. It is not a coincidence. I know some of this, Ara said. You told me about the father. I told you part of it, Grandmother Han said. I need to tell you the rest. She opened the folder. Your mother did not just discover irregularities in the finances. She discovered them because she was looking, because she suspected. And she suspected because your father had come to her first. Ara looked up. He came to her first, she said. Before he took the money, Grandmother Han said. He found the fraud and he went to Ji-young because she was the person he trusted most. He told her what he had found. He asked her what she thought he should do. A pause. She told him to report it, to go to the authorities, to do the right thing regardless of what it cost them.
And he didn't, Ara said.
He was afraid, Grandmother Han said. The people involved had reach. They had resources. He was afraid of what it would mean for his family. So he made the other choice. She looked at Ara. Ji-young found out what he had done. Not immediately, but she found out. And that was the end. She didn't leave him, Ara said.
He left.
She had already left him, Grandmother Han said quietly. In the way people leave when they discover a line was crossed that cannot be uncrossed. The physical leaving happened second. Ara looked at the ocean. He knew she was already gone, she said. Yes, Grandmother Han said. And knowing that he had caused it, and knowing that the investigation was beginning, and knowing that the people he had helped were dangerous, she paused. He disappeared. To remove himself as leverage, Ara said. Yes, Grandmother Han said. He wrote 2 letters. One to your mother. One to me. She took both from the folder. I am giving them to you now because you should have them. Because the investigation is closing. Because the danger is dissolving. She placed them on the table. And because you deserve to know the full shape of the thing you have been carrying. Ara looked at the letters. At the handwriting on the outside. Her father's handwriting. It had been 23 years since she had seen it, and she still recognized it, which said something about what we carry, without knowing we are carrying it. He watched from a distance, she said. He has always known about you, Grandmother Han said. He watched from wherever he has been. I believe he knows that the investigation is finally reaching its end. I believe, she paused, that when it is fully done, when it is safe, you may hear from him. Or I may not, Ara said. Or you may not, Grandmother Han said. That will be his choice to make. And what you do with it will be yours. Ara held the letters. She did not open them yet. She looked at the ocean. It was going to take more than a café and an afternoon to sit with all of this. Some things take longer. They take weeks and months and the quiet of a particular night and someone beside you who doesn't need to fix it. She looked at Yu-Jin. He was looking at the letters in her hands. He looked up. She looked at him. Okay, she said, for the 4th time in as many days. He understood what she meant, the way he had been understanding what she meant since before either of them could explain it. Okay, he said. Grandmother Han poured more tea. The croissant, she said, indicating the plate. Ara took a croissant. Yu-Jin took a croissant. They sat in the coastal cafe with the ocean outside and the letters on the table and the grandmother across from them with her tea and her quiet satisfaction, and they ate the croissants, which were, as advertised, very good. They flew home on Sunday. The baggage was organized by Kim. The The travel food containers from Mrs. O had been mostly emptied, which she declared a professional success. Grandmother Han spent the flight on her phone in the front row, already communicating with people about whatever came next, because there was always whatever came next. In the window seat, Ara held the letters. She had read them on Saturday evening, in the suite, while the storm was finishing and the power was back and Eugene was at the desk and did not ask and did not need to. She had read them both twice. She had not cried, because she was her mother's daughter, and crying was reserved for specific occasions. She had sat with them instead. They were what they were. A man who had been afraid and had made the wrong choice and had spent 23 years in the consequence of it. A man who had loved his family after his fashion and had communicated it poorly and too late. A man who was somewhere still, watching from a distance. She had put the letters in her bag and closed it and said to Eugene, he loved her. In his way. It wasn't enough, but it was real. And Eugene had said, that's the most complicated kind. And she had said, yes. And that had been the full conversation, which had been the right conversation, which was enough. Back at the mansion, the house received them as it always did. The gardener with both hands.
Mrs. O with the sound.
Kim with the tea. The second cup. The East Wing room with a 4 p.m. light already organized in the garden below. Ara walked into the house and it received her, and she received it back, and something settled that had been moving for a long time. 3 days. Good days. Real ones. The kind where life reestablishes its ordinary texture, and the ordinary texture turns out to be the best texture, because it is full. The morning slot. The kitchen. The dinner table. The grandmother at its head with opinions on 15 things. The East Wing bench at 4 p.m. Kim circulating with his clipboard. The staff group chat reporting the well-being indicators in real time to 43 invested parties. On the third evening, Grandmother Han announced a family dinner. Thursday, she said, at Wednesday breakfast. Everyone. 7 p.m. It is already family dinner every night, Ara said. This is a special family dinner, Grandmother Han said. What occasion? Ara said. Thursday, Grandmother Han said. That is not an occasion, Ara said. It is the occasion of Thursday, Grandmother Han said, and picked up her tea. Thursday arrived and Ara was suspicious from noon. She could not have said why exactly, except that the house had a quality to it that was different from its usual quality. The kitchen was producing smells that Mrs. O reserved for significant events. The dining room had flowers in an arrangement that was technically seasonal and also significantly more intentional than the usual. Kim had his clipboard with the posture he used when managing something important rather than something routine. She found him in the East Corridor at 2 p.m.
Kim, she said.
Ma'am, he said. What is happening tonight, she said. Family dinner, ma'am, he said. Thursday family dinner, she said. Yes, ma'am, he said. Kim, she said. Ma'am, he said. Are you going to tell me, she said. I'll see you at 7, ma'am, he said and walked away. She went to find Grandmother Han. Grandmother Han was in the sitting room in her best hanbok. The state dinner hanbok. The deep red one. You're wearing the good one, Ara said. I dress for dinner, Grandmother Han said. You wore a cashmere cardigan Tuesday, Ara said. Tuesday was casual, she said. You wore that hanbok to the foundation dinner, Ara said. It is a versatile garment, she said. What is tonight? Ara said. Thursday dinner, Grandmother Han said. Why are you dressed like you're attending a state function for Thursday dinner? Ara said. Grandmother Han looked at her book, which was upside down. The book, Ara said. Yes, Grandmother Han said. It's upside down, Ara said. Grandmother Han looked at the book. She turned it right side up. I was resting my eyes, she said. You are a terrible liar, Ara said. I am an excellent liar, Grandmother Han said. I have simply decided to be transparent with you. It is a sign of respect. What is happening tonight? Ara said. Grandmother Han looked at her with the expression she used for moments she had planned and was determined to manage to completion. Go and get dressed, she said. Something nice. How nice? The blue dress, she said. The one from the foundation dinner. Kim has it. Kim has my dress. He had it pressed, she said. Go. Ara went to find Soo-yeon. Soo-yeon was in the library in a dress she would wear to a formal event, reading her book the correct way around. Something is happening, Ara said. Is it? Soo-yeon said. The grandmother is in the state hanbok, Ara said. Kim has my dress pressed. The dining room flowers are significant. Mrs. O has been cooking since 2. Has she? Soo-yeon said. Soo-yeon, Ara said. Soo-yeon looked at her with the assessment expression. It's a nice Thursday, she said pleasantly, and returned to her book. Ara went upstairs. She put on the blue dress. 7 p.m. The dining table was set for 8. Mrs. O sat at the table for the first time Ara had ever witnessed because it was a significant occasion, and she had been told so by the grandmother at 6 a.m. that morning. Director Choi was present in his best jacket, hands folded on the table, with an expression that was performing casual and failing. Soo-yeon was in her library dress. Kim stood at the side table in his sharpest presentation. And on the tablet propped at the end, connected via video call, Ji-young appeared in a room with good lighting that someone had clearly helped her arrange. Ara stopped in the doorway. She looked at the 8-place settings. At Director Choi's folded hands. At Grandmother Han's state hanbok. At Kim's pristine clipboard, tucked under his arm in the completed tasks position. At Mrs. O, who was pressing both hands flat on the table in the way she did when she was containing significant emotion. At Ji-young on the tablet, who smiled the moment she saw Ara, with the specific smile of a mother at a very specific moment. Why, Ara said, to the table, does everyone look so strange? Director Choi, we always look like this. Ara, you have your hands folded like you're waiting for a verdict. Director Choi, I fold my hands at dinner. Ara, you had 3 portions of everything at Monday dinner. Director Choi, I am monitoring my intake. Ara, there are roses on this table. Director Choi, seasonal arrangement. Ara, it is October. Grandmother Han. Ara. Ara stopped. She looked at the grandmother. Grandmother Han was looking at the doorway behind Ara. Ara turned around. Yu-Jin was there. He was wearing the jacket. Not the boardroom jacket or the gala jacket. His jacket, the one that belonged to evenings that mattered. He was looking at her with the open expression, the unguarded one, the one that had no exits built into it. He walked in. He sat beside her. Dinner was served. It was the good soup and the good rice and 3 additional dishes that Mrs. O had been building toward since Wednesday morning, and it was exceptional, and the table conversation moved through 12 different things because it always did when all these people were in the same room. Director Choi ate nothing. Ara noticed this at the 15-minute mark.
Choi, she said.
Ma'am, he said. You haven't touched your food, she said. I'm not very hungry, he said.
You always eat, she said.
I am watching he started. You watched your intake at Jeju and still had seconds of everything, she said. The Jeju food was particularly compelling, he said.
Choi, she said.
What is in your jacket pocket? Director Choi looked at his jacket pocket. He looked at Ara. He looked at the jacket pocket. Nothing, he said.
It has a shape, she said.
It is he stopped. A personal item. It is folded paper, she said. I carry folded paper, he said. Director Choi, she said. Is that a betting sheet? The table went completely quiet. Director Choi's composure flickered. The grandmother said she saw it. He said, which was not a denial. The grandmother saw it, Ara said. I had it in February, he said. February. It was a private. In February we hadn't even. You smiled at the towel system discussion, Director Choi said, with the passion of a man defending his investment portfolio. I updated the timeline immediately. He smiled at the towel system. It was adjacent, Director Choi said. Kim. Ara started. I abstained from the pool on ethical grounds, ma'am, Kim said. He won anyway, Director Choi said. On a separate notation basis, Kim said. There was a separate. Gentle people, Grandmother Han said loudly, with the authority of someone ending a scene, and the table went quiet. Then Grandmother Han reached into her sleeve. She produced a handkerchief. She held it in both hands. She looked at Yu-Jin. Continue, she said. Ara looked at the grandmother. At the handkerchief already in both hands. At Mrs. O, who had her hands over her mouth. At Director Choi, who had given up on his food entirely and was sitting very straight. At Kim, who had produced a box of tissues from the side table and set it within reach of multiple parties. At Ji-young on the tablet, who was already leaning forward. "Why does she have the handkerchief out?" Ara said. "He hasn't said anything yet." "Ara," Grandmother Han said, with bright eyes, gripping the handkerchief. "She's all ready," Ara started. "Continue," the grandmother said to Yu-Jin, with significant urgency and more volume than the word usually required. Yu-Jin looked at Ara. He looked at her the way he had been looking at her since a lobby and a pillow wall and a cooking class and a cliff in Jeju and a storm and a candlelit confession, and his expression had no distance in it. He pushed his chair back. He stood. The table held very still. "There was a lobby," he said. Ara went completely still. "There was a lobby," he said. "And a document stack that was in the wrong order, because a printer was on fire and nobody was reading anything properly." He paused. "There was a government stamp and 14 days that were supposed to be temporary, and a grandmother who had been planning this since she received a photograph of you running in a garden when you were 7 years old." The table was silent. "There was a pillow wall," he said. 7 pillows, structurally optimized for a 3-meter bed, that lasted 40 minutes. He paused. "There was a pregnancy announcement on national television that nobody authorized and a grandmother who called a morning show with the specific confidence of someone who owns the segment." He stopped. "There was a gala, a press platform, a forehead press that I told you was a controlled redirect." He looked at her. "It was not a controlled redirect." Grandmother Han made a sound. "She's already crying," Ara said. "I predicted this," Yu-Jin said. "She's crying before the—" "I know," he said. "Continue," Grandmother Han said wetly. "There was a hand at the foundation dinner table," he said. "My hand on the table over yours, which the cameras caught, which 17 million people watched, which Director Choi added to a folder that he has never admitted exists." "It is a professional archive," Director Choi said, with the dignity of someone who has been caught with a personal folder and has decided to defend its legitimacy. "There was a heated seat in a car," Yu-Jin said. "On the way back from a gala. I turned it on before you said you were cold, because you are always cold in cars, and I knew that by day 9. He paused. "There was a toothbrush. The right brand. The soft bristle. Because I had noticed which kind you used, and I replaced it when it needed replacing, and I said nothing about it because I didn't want to explain what noticing meant." The table was completely silent except for the grandmother, who was now fully using the handkerchief. "I did not choose the first marriage," Yu-Jin said. "I signed a document without reading it because my system failed and a printer was on fire, and I had people who were supposed to read things for me." He looked at her. "And then I had 14 days that I spent finding excuses to stay in whatever room you were in." Ara was looking at him. "I did not choose the first marriage," he said again. "But I have been choosing this, every single day since day 4. When you moved the toothbrush to the wrong side and argued about it. When you negotiated the 7-minute slot into 12. When the pillow wall fell, and you blamed the structural integrity instead of admitting what it meant." He paused. "I have been choosing it every day, and I would like to choose it properly. Out loud. In front of witnesses." He glanced at Director Choi. "And a betting sheet." Director Choi looked at his jacket pocket. He looked at the table. He said nothing. Yu-Jin moved around the table. He stood beside her chair. He went down on one knee. Not at the gala. Not at a press platform. Not in front of cameras or shareholders or 17 million viewers. In the dining room of the Han family mansion with the good soup going cold and the roses on the table, and 8 people who had been waiting for this moment from various starting points between 1998 and February. He reached into his jacket pocket. He opened the box. The ring was clean and real, and not trying too hard. "Ara Seo," he said. "I didn't choose the first marriage." A pause. "But I choose this one," he said. A longer pause. "Will you marry me? Again. This time properly. This time because we both want it." Grandmother Han, before Ara had opened her mouth, at full volume. "Yes, she will." "Grandmother Han," Ara said. "I'm emotional," the grandmother said, handkerchief fully deployed. "I haven't answered." "You're going to say yes," Grandmother Han said. We all know. Kim has tissues. I can see the tissues. Choi has the sheet. I know about the sheet. Your mother is right there. On the tablet, Ji-young was laughing and crying simultaneously with both hands over her face. Everyone calm down, Ara said, to the table. The table attempted calm. The attempt was partial. She looked at Yu-Jin, on the floor, with the ring, with the steadiest hands she had seen on any person in any situation. She looked at the ring. Clean, real, not trying too hard. She looked at him. At the lobby and the pillow wall and the lamp and the toothbrush and the heated seat and the kitchen at midnight and the confession by candlelight and the coastal café and the letters and every small thing between every small thing. She looked at him on the floor.
You're on the marble, she said.
Yes, he said.
It's cold, she said.
Yes, he said. You should have picked a room with a rug, she said. I'll note that for next time, he said. There won't be a next time, she said. He looked at her. Yes, she said. Grandmother Han screamed. Not a shriek. A full, genuine, 67 decibel scream of a woman whose 23-year project had arrived at its destination, at volume, in the dining room, at 7:42 p.m. on a Thursday. She said yes, she announced, to the room, to the family group chat, to the general universe. We all heard, Soo-yeon said. I want it noted, Grandmother Han said. It is noted, Kim said, already writing. By everyone, she said. Ji-young. Kim said, to the tablet. Ji-young had both hands pressed to the screen. She nodded, laughing, not crying or both. Director Choi unfolded the betting sheet. He looked at it. He looked at Kim. Within a month of the Jeju return, he said, pointing at the sheet with the energy of a man confronting professional defeat. I made an informed assessment, Kim said. You used the lamp. The lamp was a significant data point. IT is a lamp. It was a 6-INCH movement, Kim said, with more volume than Kim typically used, made without being asked on day 6 when the exit was still being built, and it was the single clearest indicator available. Gentle people, Grandmother Han said, still crying into the handkerchief. The ring. Yu-Jin stood up. He put the ring on Ara's hand. It fit. Of course it fit. He looked at her. She looked at the ring. At the table. At 8 people in various states of composure that ranged from Kim's professional with private satisfaction to Director Choi's completely given up to Grandmother Han's full handkerchief to Mrs. O with both hands over her mouth to Ji-young on a tablet laughing from another city. Then Yu-Jin laughed. Not the polite one. Not the managed version that appeared at appropriate moments. The real one from somewhere deep, the kind that came out because something had cracked open in exactly the right way and there was nothing to do about it except let it happen. Ara heard it for the first time. She turned to look at him. It was, she thought, one of the best things she had heard in her life. The table erupted. He looked at her and kissed her, which somehow made Grandmother Han cry more. Mrs. O cried. Director Choi folded the betting sheet and put it carefully in his inside jacket pocket and then also wiped his eyes with his other hand. Soo-yeon looked at the ceiling and said, finally, quietly, to herself, the way people say things they have known were coming and are grateful to see arrive. Kim stood at the side table with his clipboard and his tissues and his private notation, and he did not cry because Kim did not cry, but he straightened his jacket twice, which meant approximately the same thing. Grandmother Han put the handkerchief down and picked up her soup. The soup is getting cold, she said. You are just crying, Ara said. I am an efficient person, Grandmother Han said. I transitioned. She looked at Yu-Jin. Eat your soup. You cried through the entire proposal, he said. I felt the moment warranted it, she said. You started before I said anything, he said. I anticipated correctly, she said. You cried at the lamp part, Kim said. Grandmother Han looked at Kim. The lamp, she said, is very significant. I told Director Choi, Kim said. I still don't believe the lamp is, Director Choi started. He moved it 6 inches, Grandmother Han said, without being asked, on day 6, as a clear indicator of. Grandmother, Yu-Jin said. I am supporting Kim's position, she said. Kim won, Yu-Jin said. The position is supported. Can we eat? "The soup is still warm," Kim said, which was a lie they all agreed to accept. They ate the soup. It was, as it always was, the good soup Mrs. O had anticipated. She always anticipated. It was 8 people at a table on a Thursday in October with roses and the good rice and the good soup and a ring on someone's hand that had been earned over 17 days that turned into 30, and then more, and it tasted the way things taste when they have been prepared for the right occasion. In the entrance hall, the frame on the wall held the garden bench photograph. Tomorrow Kim would add a new one. Not from a professional photographer or a staged press moment. From this table, this light, these 8 people. The grandmother mid-cry and mid-triumph. Mrs. O with both hands over her mouth. Director Choi with his folded sheet and his unfolded face. Yu-Jin laughing, actually laughing for what was, in Kim's records, the first fully documented instance since the family's financial records began. And Ara, with the ring and the soup and the sound of all of it, looking at the table like someone who had been waiting for this table without knowing that what she was waiting for was this. In the family group chat, Ji-young posted from her city. She talks back.
She always did.
I always knew she'd end up somewhere that let her. Grandmother Han posted immediately below it. I put the photograph away for a reason. Turns out the reason was Thursday. Kim, a minute later, noted. Both entries. The record is complete. And downstairs in the dining room, Grandmother Han finished her soup, tapped her cane once, very quietly, to herself, and was still.
Done, she thought.
The whole thing done. Every piece of it. The photograph in the drawer, and the letters held for 17 years, and the motion sensors, and the 43-person group chat, and the 17 computer errors at a resort in Jeju, and the folding chair in a pottery studio, and the boat on the water with the binoculars. All of it for this Thursday. For the soup going slightly cold, and the laugh she had not heard in 24 years, and a girl who talked back sitting at her table with her grandson's name on her hand. Worth it, she thought. Every single day of it. She picked up her tea. She did not open the notebook. She was done with the notebook. She didn't need it anymore. If you are still awake right now, we need to know where you are and what time it is and how you are doing, because this was a full emotional experience and you deserve witnesses. Drop your location in the comments right now. Drop the moment that got you most. Was it Yu-Jin actually laughing for the first time? Director Choi's February betting sheet? Grandmother Han crying before a single word of the proposal? Kim with his lamp data point? Ji-young on the tablet? The handkerchief already out? The grandmother screaming before Ara finished saying yes? Mrs. O anticipating the soup? Tell us everything. Like this video because this story earned it. Share it because someone you know needs this grandmother in their life immediately. Subscribe because this channel has more stories coming and you do not want to be the person who finds out about them secondhand. Thank you for every comment from every time zone. Thank you for being here from the lobby to the Thursday soup. We see you. We'll see you in the next one.